This is the plaintiff, Jean. She says she rented a house to the defendant. The guy snuck out in the middle of the lease, and the defendant is nothing more than a bully and a liar. Since it was around Thanksgiving, she couldn't re-rent the place, and the defendant owes her back rent because he skipped out on her and her ironclad lease. She's suing for $5,000 for 4 months unpaid rent. This is the defendant, James. He says there was a major problem with the plumbing in the house the plaintiff rented him, and smelly sewage water would flood the basement. The stench was awful. The plaintiff did nothing to rectify the situation, and when he saw black mold forming, he had to do what was best for his family and move them to a safer environment. Oh, that woman money? No way. He's accused of running out on the rent. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $5,000 for all he's out.
Okay, all parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff rented a house to the defendant who snuck out in the middle of the night and screwed her over. But the defendant says there was black mold and that's why he bailed. It's the case of there's a fungus among us.
Okay, neither one of you want your last names used. Jean, you're suing James for $5,000 in damages. For the remainder of a lease that you say he broke. You are suing James, for $5,000 to return your last month's security and physical and emotional distress because, according to you, the place was uninhabitable. What happened?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I inherited a house and I put it on Craigslist. We had several people coming. A real estate woman came to the house and inspected the house and said it was exactly what her friends were looking for. They had moved from our town to another state and wanted to move back. From the house, she called him and said, this is perfect. He agreed. He said he would send a check. That was in early August.
Without seeing it?
Based on proxy of his real estate agent.
Gosh, I would never do that. I'm such a control freak. Really?
Yes, she was a friend. Not a real estate agent. That's what she does for a living, but she's a friend of ours.
I know, but how do you know that she knows you that intimately that would, whatever. Anyway, so that's how you did it, and what happened?
Okay, so a check did come in the mail to hold.
She video it for you or something?
No, she just...
Come on up. Are you the wife?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, we were so far away. We were in Arizona.
Right,
there was no way we could go across the country.
Couldn't make her video it for you or something? I don't know. Anyway.
There were pictures on Craigslist.
There were pictures that looked good.
But she went through and itemized. She went room to room, checked everything out. Yeah. Everything had just been refurnished.
Okay. So you put the money down, and then you get there and you like it, right? Because you move in.
Yes, and when we inspected it.
Now, after you're in there, something goes wrong, correct?
We moved in, and as we're unloading the packages, we opened the kitchen cabinets, and it was infested with ants.
All right, but we're not really talking about ants, are we? We had a backup of the sewer. Let's talk about that.
Okay. The second day in, one of my daughters sees water coming out of the front of the house, the vent pipe for the main sewer line. And so she tells me, I go to the basement, and the rug and the sheetrock is wet. And I had all our boxes from our move down there, so I had to move some boxes.
Empty boxes or full boxes?
No, they were full. Some of them I had to throw out. The price, it was like stuffed animals. It was kid stuff. Threw it out, but we had to move all the boxes because it's sewer water. It was coming from the main trap. So
how was it getting onto the carpet and the basement?
It was leaking from the main trap.
So
I have pictures.
You have pictures of the main trap? Okay,
yes.
Show me that.
That's the main trap, and that's some of our boxes that were damaged.
Okay, now, is that how that looks normally, or is there a cover or
There's
something?
a cover.
Okay.
I have pictures with the cover on it.
It was like bubbling out of there?
Yes, it was coming, it was overflowing through the main trap because there was a clog in the line between the house and the sewer.
How bad was it wet? Oh, that's pretty bad.
Well, it happened the second day, and then Roto-Rooter came.
These are empty boxes, right?
No, they were full boxes. We were storing things.
So you address it swiftly. You call Roto-Rooter right away.
At 3 o'clock on the 16th, I was attending a funeral service for someone, so I had my phone shut off. By the time I got home at 3:45...
In the afternoon?
In the afternoon that same day, Mr. Rogan was parked in my driveway and saying that water was all over. And I could understand he'd been, being upset. I would be upset too.
I was.
But at that point, I went right over. I called Roto-Rooter immediately. We were there before 5.
That's true. She called Roto-Rooter immediately, and they were there before 5. All right.
And we were there before 5.
So that happens on day 1. Then it happens again,
yes,
correct?
Yes.
Roto-Rooter has to come back.
On day 2.
And you call them right away, and they come back right away.
Roto-Rooter was scheduled to come back the second day as a routine camera scan.
Oh, so did it back up again the second day?
It did back up the second day.
Okay, so Roto-Rooter comes back, they do some more work.
It was agreed that they would come on Friday and do the complete job, and everything would be fine by Saturday morning.
Okay.
The catch being that they would have to have water interruption on Friday night.
Okay.
Mr. Rogan informed me that his daughter had a sports issue. They could not do without showers, brushing their teeth.
Okay, so you're totally talking to the wrong person. Because
I understand.
If my daughter came home from sports and didn't take a shower, we would all have to evacuate.
So what we did,
so I get it.
Okay, absolutely, and I did too. We rearranged so that they would do part of the job on Friday, the second half on Saturday, and they'd be without water Saturday. And I sent by certified mail 1 day's abatement for the inconvenience of the interruption of water.
And he wanted what instead?
He wanted 3 days hotel.
Okay, that's not reasonable, though. But in any event, the problem that we're having is a little bit different. It's not, hey, the sewer backed up and you fixed it, and then they want to move out. It's the water issue in the basement. That is, as I understand it, the reason why you end up moving out after how many days?
We were there for 19 days total.
Okay. But the issue that we need to address in this courtroom are these pictures that show that the basement was really kind of flooded, and it's flooded with sewer water, which is kind of disgusting. Did it smell?
It was horrendous. I have asthma. My 12-year-old daughter has asthma. We had trouble breathing. I mean, I had tightness, and, we upped our medication, but we had to get out of there. It was unsafe.
Your Honor, it was so bad, I took a garbage bag and I put it underneath the door because the fumes were coming up the stairs. I couldn't go down to do the laundry. I was so afraid of the black mold. Once I took all the boxes from the basement, I wiped.
Was the laundry, the washer dryer was downstairs in the basement?
And I could not do the laundry down there. I could not breathe. And so I was so afraid of the black mold. I have 2 children. I had to wipe every single box down with hot water and vinegar.
Right. We kept the windows open all day to try to just clear the air. But
so was there ever any discussion about having this remediated? Because this kind of thing can be remediated.
We saw the landlord on the 21st.
Did you buy a house?
We did. We rented.
She thinks that you're liars and that you just are trying to get out of it and you're using this as an excuse because you bought a house. Now that you're gone from Arizona and you're back, you just wanted to break the lease anyway and you're using this as an excuse.
It was stressful. We had to find a place to live. We couldn't breathe in this place. We had to find a place. So, no, we rented it.
Doesn't sound like an emergency. An emergency is a shelter. Emergency is not about a house.
We found a house and we were allowed to rent it until we bought it.
What day did you move out, folks?
October 2nd.
Your Honor, one quick question.
Stop telling her to shut up. Go ahead. What do you want to ask? I'm sure it's well thought out and not a problem. Go ahead.
Jim was beyond patient with this issue. He was trying to discuss with our landlord many, many times. She just could not.
Listen to me. Let me just tell you the law. Mold is non-negotiable. You do not have to live in mold.
No.
Okay. You do not have to live in mold. That's a good thing for you. So stop arguing with me. You do not have to live in mold. However, I am not stupid. I kind of feel like you might have been going, woo, woo, mold, when you saw it because you wanted to buy a house. You didn't want to rent the house.
Actually, I didn't want to buy this house. I ended up buying a house that was way more expensive. You didn't want? I really could have used the time to take my time.
I got you. Hold on one second. Hold on one second here. The $6,355 construction bill from IDO is the remediation of the walls.
That was afterwards to prevent any mold, and they did the cleaning. They replaced sheetrock on the bottom of the basement walls, cleaned the carpeting so that there would be no mold. Now,
so you feel that they didn't have a right to move out, and so you're suing for the rest of the lease. Did you end up re-renting the place?
I tried. I did not. I have not been successful. First of all,
even to today?
I had a couple of people I did turn down because they did not pass my financial. I was not going to take somebody in who had foreclosed on their house and didn't have good credit rating. I think I'd be in a worse pickle.
Right.
So I turned down several people for various reasons.
So you're suing for the remainder of the lease because you haven't been able to re-rent it and you feel that they didn't have a right to move out. You are suing, you're counterclaiming against her $5,000 as well. She has, you paid first month's, last month's, and security, right? Each of these were $2,650, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And then you're also suing for $2,000 for physical and emotional distress. Back that up for me.
So if your sewage is backing up in your apartment, do you have a duty to give your landlord a chance to fix it, or can you bail?
No, you have to give the landlord a chance to fix it. And then if he doesn't fix it, then...
Yeah, but it's pretty disgusting. I mean, at a point, don't you have to... I mean, when can you move? I mean, sewage is coming out into your bathroom.
I think you have to tell the landlord what's happening and give it a few weeks, or maybe a couple days, actually, and then...
How many days could you live with sewage that's backing up? How many days?
1 day. The landlord should get a sewage grinder for them.
Sewage grinder sounds like the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life. Going inside the courtroom.
I have asthma, and I couldn't breathe. I also have my daughter, my 12-year-old daughter has asthma. She wasn't as bad because we put them in the upstairs bedroom. That's not as close to the basement as our bedroom was. And I have another certified statement from a neighbor who came in who also has asthma, and he had difficulty breathing. He was in the house for a few minutes.
Do you have proof that you have asthma?
I do,
okay.
Your Honor.
As someone who has asthma, this is really just not negotiable. They don't have to, and I understand that you feel like, well, this isn't fair. They didn't even give me a chance to remediate, but remediation takes time, and that's time that they can't live there. And so does the fact that I think that maybe they thought this is a good thing we bought a house change the law? Not really.
No, Your Honor, could I just say that I did have the insurance.
If she hadn't sued you, were you planning on suing her?
No.
You were going to walk away from the whole thing?
Yes.
Because
your theory was, I paid you almost $8,000 because I saw the text or the email or the letter. I paid you $8,000. I lived there 19 days. Let's call it a day.
Yes,
that's exactly what my letter says. And I thought that was being reasonable.
That's the sin of greed, Your Honor.
That's reasonable.
If you hit your wife one more time, I'm going to take you out of the room. He has gone like this to her like 6 times. Don't dismiss it. Stop it. How long have you been married?
25 years.
Okay. See, here's the thing, Jean. Jean or Jeannie?
Jean.
Jean.
Either one.
You and I can have our suspicions all day long, but it doesn't matter. I have to call it. I can't guess what everybody's motives are. I have to call it based on the facts that are in front of me. Fact, they rent the place as of September 1st. Fact, they pay you for September, their last month, which would be 6 months later, and their security deposit. So they pay you almost $8,000. Fact, from the time they move in, which is actually September 14th, until October 2nd when they move out, there are 2 Roto-Rooter visits. There is backup twice, and that stuff stinks. It's not. You can't say it's soapy water. It's disgusting. It's backup from the sewer. Okay. The lady wants to tell you something. Stop putting your hand up and let her talk to you.
The Roto-Rooter was there 5 times.
5 times?
5 times.
Yes.
That's a very good thing. See, you're going like that. All right. Because he knows I don't like being interrupted. That's why I was here. Okay. So Roto-Rooter's there 5 times. All right. A person doesn't have to live that way. You don't have to live that way. Moral support or witnesses. Your moral support doesn't have to live that way. I don't have to live. He doesn't have to live. Nobody has to live that way. So let's discuss the math. On your lawsuit against them, you're entitled to keep $170.96 for rent for October. On their lawsuit against you, which means that I am ordering you to return anything you kept in excess of that. And that is part of your lawsuit against her. You are suing for last month and security, everything except for the $170. I agree with you. And you're suing for physical and emotional distress. I'm not going to grant you that. You got out of the lease, you ended up buying a house, it all worked out for you. So, what does that mean? It means that you would owe the defendants their last month, their security, minus the $170 for October, all of which is well above the statute. It's a couple $100 above the statutory maximum. I find in favor of the defendants in the case for the statutory maximum of $5,000.
Thank you,
That is
Your
my
Honor.
verdict. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
God bless.
So upon hearing that, here's the plaintiff out here knowing that the defendant has just collected the max. What's your reaction to this outcome here?
I'm a little surprised and quite disappointed because the lease is, to me, a legal document, and but the ruling is what Judge Millian said.
Judge Millian also said that you should have accepted their offer. What was it, to keep the $8,000?
Well, yes, it was to keep the money, but the thing is that when they're in there and they don't give notice, and they were quite deviant.
Wouldn't you rather have that than this outcome?
No, I think I still feel that what they did was not right, and so I'm glad that it was heard.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Right around the corner.
Right this way, ladies.
Money, no issue. All right, so you step in here. You satisfied, Hal?
Yes.
This comes out?
Very
Yes. Couldn't have come out much better for you.
No, I mean, some people just don't get it. She doesn't get it.
It was just the sin of greed.
Mm-hmm.
She just wanted more money, more and more, and her home was a disgusting mess.
So how about the place you're living in now? How much better?
It's super clean.
Yes, it's very clean.
You can breathe in there?
Yes, I can breathe. No sewage.
Okay. Harvey?
Thank you.
There's something in every lease. It doesn't have to even be written down. It's called a warranty of habitability, which means the landlord has to give you a safe, healthy place to live. I would say that backed up sewage qualifies as a breach of that warranty.